All right, we are live.
Thank you. I am going to go ahead and call this meeting to order then. Let me start with the roll call. I'm Joshua Stegner. I am present. Andrea LaFleur.
Present.
Thank you. Erica Alberti.
Present.
Thank you. Dory Burnett.
Here.
Thank you. Brock Grigsby.
Here.
Thank you. Sarah Hayworth. There you are.
Present.
Thank you. Talia Henry.
Present.
Thank you. And Dina is not here. We've got a quorum. Roll call for administration. Denise Burchett.
Present.
Thank you. Dr. Gary Saunders.
Present.
Truth Mube.
Present.
Craig Wilson.
Present.
Thank you all. If you would please stand with me for the pledge. Place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We are meeting virtually. I'll just go and read the finding. Gorman Learning Charter Network Board of Directors determines, in accordance with Government Code Section 54953(1)(b), that meeting in person would present imminent risks to the health or safety of attendees pursuant to Government Code Section 54953(3). The board has also reconsidered the circumstances of the state of emergency declared by the governor on March 4th, 2020, and finds the state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of the directors to meet safely in person, and or that state or local officials continue to impose or recommend measures to promote social distancing. We will need an approval for that. If I could first have a motion and then a second, and then we'll vote for meeting virtually.
I'll motion to approve.
I second.
All right. We'll go ahead and vote by roll. And I'm Josh. I vote aye. Andrea.
Aye.
Erica.
Aye.
Dory.
Aye.
Brock.
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye.
Talia.
Aye.
Thank you all. That's approved. The next item we'll need is an approval of tonight's agenda. You should have a copy of that with you or in front of you. If I could also have a motion for that.
I motion to approve the agenda.
I second.
Thank you. Again, we'll vote by roll. I'm Josh. I vote aye. Andrea.
Aye.
Erica.
Aye.
Dory.
Aye.
Brock.
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye.
Natalia.
Aye.
Thank you. The agenda is approved. Next, we'll need an approval of the minutes from our August 18th meeting.
I move to approve the minutes of August 18th.
Thank you, Brock.
I
I
second.
second.
All right. Josh, I vote aye. Andrea.
Aye.
Erica.
Aye.
Dory.
Aye.
Brock.
Aye.
Sarah.
Aye.
Talia.
Aye.
Thank you all. The minutes from the August 18th meeting are approved. Next item is communication from the public. I'm going to go ahead and give a minute or so. If anybody has just tuned into this and they'd like to communicate, I want to make sure there's enough time. See the link right there to the Google form. Fill that out. We'll get you an invitation. We actually did have one request, and the person has the link, but I have not seen if they've joined or responded that they intended to utilize the link or the invitation. So if kind of double check who's joined here, who's trying to join. I'd like to take a little extra time when we're meeting here online just to make sure we're not missing anybody who would like to speak. I know we had a request from, I believe, Elizabeth Fisher. Is Elizabeth Fisher by chance in the room with us? Has she joined?
She has not.
Okay. All right, I'm going to assume that nobody else would like to join, and Elizabeth decided to change her mind or was not able to this afternoon. Then we'll move on. Are there any comments from board members concerning items not on the agenda? Erica and I had exchanged some communication yesterday, and unfortunately, Erica's not going to be able to continue serving on the board. She's pursuing some other service opportunities. Erica, you're free if you'd like to share a little bit more about that or what's going on in your life. But otherwise, we'll bring that back at the next board meeting for an official acceptance of your resignation. But I just want to say thank you for your service, and really do wish you the best in what you're pursuing. So feel free, though, if you'd like to say anything else, you're welcome to.
Well, I just want to thank you guys for being so patient and gracious to me every time. I learned a lot, and I thought I was going to be able to handle it, but I didn't know campaigning was so overwhelming. I'm running for City Council, Palmdale City Council, District 5, which is a new district in our city. And it's just taking up having to go to events and all of that. But of course, I do plan to push charter schools. I do already. And so of course, even though I'm not on the board, I'm totally supporting you guys and praying for this board. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
I just want to say thank you, Erica, because this is something that we've wanted and hoped for, is to see charter friendly people get into political offices. And so I'm rooting for you. Thank you.
Erica, will that be something that only residents of that part of Palmdale can vote for, or will every resident of Palmdale have an opportunity to potentially vote for you?
So
You know how that
unfortunately,
works?
Palmdale is districted, has 5 districts, and it could only be the people from that district. But Palmdale no longer has a mayor. Now we have a rotating mayor. So it's possible that if I take that seat in December, I could be the mayor for the first 2 years.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, wish you the best.
Thank you.
All right. Let's move on then to our consent agenda. Hopefully you've all had a chance to take a look at that, unless there are any questions or anything that needs to be pulled for further discussion on that. We'll approve the whole thing altogether. So is there anything that anybody had to question or go through? If not, I would request a motion for approval.
I motion to approve.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Let's vote. I'm Josh. I vote aye. Andrea?
Aye.
Erica?
Aye.
Dory?
Aye.
Brock?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
And Talia?
Aye.
Thank you. The consent agenda is approved. Next up is our report from our executive director and then our chief business officer. I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Denise, and then Truth.
Great, thank you. And then after I'm done, Gary's going to give a little report too. So anyways, yeah, it's been a busy month. with school starting and all the activities that we're going through. And so hopefully you had a chance to read my director's report. There's a report in there from the resource centers now, so I'll periodically get something from them just to let you guys know what's going on there at the resource centers. And political updates, I usually stick those in kind of as they, as they show up, as they come, and to keep you updated on that. But what I want to go to is the enrollment report. So this was requested to for me to put this in here. I have to tell you, the numbers have already changed just since, I don't know, I gave Kim the report the other day, maybe. The numbers have already changed. So this shows you on this report, the projected enrollment number, that's the number that we projected when we created our budget. So that's, we try to project how many students we're going to be getting. It's never perfect because sometimes it's just a guess. It's not a guessing game. I mean, Jenna, she runs our data for us. We figure out how many students are graduating. We figure out how many siblings are coming in. We do an interest survey. So we collect as much data as possible to base our projections on. What I'm hearing from the RDs and the community liaisons and enrollment people is that what they've seen this year is that parents will put their students' names on multiple schools lists, but they may have a certain school in mind that they want. But if there's a waiting list, they'll put their name on multiple lists. And when you get to them, they may have already been accepted into a different school or the school that they wanted. So it doesn't, it could change. It could just change. The enrollment count for GLC. So when I gave the numbers, it was 1183. It is now 1194. So we're very close. And with SBSC, the number is now 1255. So just in a few days, to be honest with you, we are continually enrolling, and even after school has started, we will still get an influx of enrollments. It will die down. It's probably going to die down in the next month or so. And then when we get to second semester, we'll see another increase. So this is where we're currently at. I wanted you to see, well, any questions here?
With SBSC, can we handle more students? Do we have staff to assign them to theoretically? If we do get them?
Yes, we can. We can.
Okay.
We can. We would have to I think we might have to hire more once we start reaching that number. Okay. But honestly, we have a pool now. It's really weird. We've got some really good applicants. So we're keeping it open on EdJoin. Okay. So we're just keeping it open. We obviously don't want to hire until we know for sure we're going to need them. But this is such good news. I've never seen us this time of year be so close to one of our projections, like in GLC. So it's something to clap about. Then on the next slide, I wanted to point out, look at the number. So where it says -2, that's for TK. It's just when Jana runs reports, it has to assign it a number. So that's TK, and 0 is kindergarten. That is an amazing number of kindergartners that we have enrolled this year. And the beauty about enrolling kindergartners is parents tend to keep homeschooling them or keep them in our school because it's just when they start out that young And parents, they're homeschooling, they may be new at it, but they find out I can do this. They keep their kids in. So we see a longer time of enrollment when they start younger, especially in these early grades. Okay, so we'll move on. We got our student recognition. So excited. So this, let me look at my side. So this is Capri Oliver, and she's a student. Capri greatly enjoys reading and writing and plans on majoring in creative writing and submajoring in English literature. She simply will not die a peaceful death unless her future home has a massive library. When she's not obsessing over her latest favorite novel, she's either fawning over her wild pet tarantula named Juniper, overthinking every last detail of her life, or boycotting her math homework. Capri was nominated by Kimmy Frith-Smith. Kimmy said, that's her PLT. Kimmy said Capri worked incredibly hard last year as a 7th grader to complete double curriculum and to prepare for the CASP test in hopes of getting approved for a grade advancement. She took all 4 days of testing to complete her test because she took her time. Not only did she achieve her goal of grade advancement, but she scored a perfect score on 7th grade ELA CASP test and the highest Lexile score she could obtain. Isn't that amazing? Capri, we are so amazed by you. You are a shining example of how hard work can pay off in a very tangible way. Congratulations on achieving your goal. You are an inspiration to all. And then we have for staff recognition, Andrea Gutierrez. She's a PLT and she's also a PLT teacher mentor. Andrea has worked for Gorman since March of 2020. Andrea has all 3 of her children enrolled in Gorman as students. Andrea said she loves working for Gorman because it allows her to be a part of her family's education and gives her the freedom to enjoy life. Andrea said when she isn't working for Gorman, she enjoys doing anything outdoors like running, hiking, and camping. The person who nominated Andrea said she is going above and beyond helping train the new PLTs from Redlands. Andrea has worked hard with her team members to arrange training days for the new PLTs in Redlands and the surrounding areas. Her children attend the Redlands Resource Center and are part of the visual and performing arts workshops. Andrea supports both her children and her students by showing up to workshop performances and community events. Thank you, Andrea, for being a part of Gorman. Thank you for giving your time and talents to our students and staff members. We appreciate everything you do to help new staff members feel equipped and ready to tackle any new undertaking. Next up for staff recognition is Sharon McCullough. She's our credential specialist. Sharon has been working for Gorman for 6 years. She started out as a receptionist in the business office and simultaneously worked in student records. She then had the wonderful opportunity to be trained in all the departments at the business office. It gave her a window into the behind-the-scenes functions of Gorman. Through that experience, she found that the HR team was a great department to work in. So she applied and was accepted to be the new HR clerk. Now she is happy to still be part of the HR team, but as the credential specialist. The part she loves most about working for Gorman is helping the employees, knowing that many of them are helping the students. When Sharon isn't at Gorman, she loves spending time with her grandchildren, who are a huge blessing in her life. In her free time, she loves grooming and riding horses. She also enjoys reading, crocheting, sewing, and taking long walks with her fur baby, The person who nominated Sharon said, "As a teacher prepared out of country, I have been overwhelmed with the California requirements for teacher credentialing. More and more steps are added to the process of clearing my credential. Sharon has come alongside me to help me find resources and has searched for ways to make this process less stressful, less expensive, and much more efficient. She didn't have to do this. Her job is to hold me accountable for getting it done. Her compassion and understanding of my situation has made a huge impact in my ability to get these steps started and soon completed. Thank you, Sharon, for going above and beyond. You don't just do your job, but you do it in such a way that makes it easier for others to continue doing their jobs. We appreciate everything you do to keep Gorman compliant and to help staff and teachers complete their certifications without all the stress that sometimes accompanies the many requirements from the state boards." Congratulations to everyone. That's it.
Thank you, Denise, and staff and who are nominated there. Truth, do you have anything to report on right now?
Yeah, I thought they said Dr. Carey had something to say. No?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Hey, no worries. That was just exciting to hear about those, the student and our employees. That's really wonderful. I just want to share, thank you to Edie Burchett. We've been working really closely on some strategic planning. Big part of that is that I've been having department head meetings and getting to understand a lot of the inner workings of Gorman and how we work together, how we complement each other. I just got to reiterate that all I've discovered along the way is that we have very high level talent and skills in every position that I've encountered. Case in point, I just got a shout out, kudos to Supervisor Carrie Lewis yesterday, who organized a magnificent back to school night. In the downpour here in Redlands, we still had, gosh, it seemed like hundreds of people showing up, standing in the rain, walking through puddles, jam-packed hallways, just to come and see what their kids are learning. And they weren't all just resource center families too. We had families who are not coming to the resource center who came, and it's great because, you know, it helps build community. So kudos there too. So it's been a lot of fun. I did spend at each of the resource centers. I visited I made a first day of school visit at each of the resource centers and got to see the incredible enthusiasm of our families coming on campus. I saw a lot of great teamwork. Our employees step up where there's a need, and there were some needs in that first week of school. And it was just really good to see that we work together that way here at Gorman. Edie Burchett and I are taking on, we're beginning the WASC process for the GLC campus. Started working on that. That'll also support, we're going to be working together on the LCAP this year. A couple other things that you've seen if you follow Parent Square is I had put out an interest survey for field trips, which we're bringing back. Got a lot of great responses for that. I have over 1,000 families who responded to that interest survey. So we're using that information to set up, to go ahead and schedule field trip dates. Many of the places we're going to, they want to know how many people are coming, that kind of thing. So we needed the interest survey to help us with that. So that's going to be organized in the next week or so. It'll be posted on Parent Square for parents to go in and officially commit to the field trips they want to go to, along with a method that if they want to go, that adults want to attend, or if they want to bring siblings, they can also upload their own funding to bring extra people on the field trip. And just to kind of like spin off from some of these department meetings, you know, some of the things we're recognizing, just as Denise was sharing, we want to continue to promote enrollment. And we've been having discussions about how we might want to think through our marketing plan. Of course, if you have a marketing plan, you got to have great things to market. We do have great things to market. And at the same time, we're looking at where we can also move forward. This Thursday, I set up, there's a person who kind of is like the state guru for dual enrollment. And I'm going to be meeting with her and our 2 counselors to look at ways we can continue to serve our families and the dual enrollment track. Many more and more high school families are going that route. And that is also an opportunity for families that choose to come to Gorman that may not be available at typical district schools. So we want to continue to pursue that opportunity and see how we can even make it more streamlined, even connect to our CTE pathway track to support students who want to maybe just come out, maybe they want to come out with a career, ready to go into a career when they leave us. So those are the biggies that I've been working on. A few other pans are in the fire that I'll probably update when I get more traction on some of the other projects we're working on.
Thanks, thanks, Dr. Saunders. Anybody have any questions for Dr. Saunders?
It all sounds very exciting.
Good, thanks for listening.
All right, Truth.
Not at this time, but I'll be presenting shortly.
Very good. Well, thank you all. Let's move on to our information discussion action agenda. The first item being review, discussion, approval of appointments to the Strategic Planning Committee going forward for this 22-23 school year. So the current group that was on the committee, it was Andrea, Erica, and me on the committee, and Denise as well, meeting. And so I think 3 is a good number. 3 board members is a good number to have on this committee. And for those of you who are new or who don't know, maybe we are just kind of going through. This is ideally kind of an annual thing. We're going through just our goals for the school over the next 1, 3, 5 year kind of timelines, areas that we see there's a need for maybe further development, improvement in, just things to address and to see for the betterment of the school. And this is kind of where we set those long-term, again, those goals, those 1, 3, 5 goals to work on. And so throughout the year, we'll meet a few times, the committee meets a few times, and then comes back and presents, I believe, mid-year, and then at the end of the year comes back and presents those to the board for inclusion and discussion with the entire board. But the idea for the committee is to kind of iron those things out. So when we come back for the presentation to the board, there are some bullet pointed kind of goals and even some metrics towards those goals, some measurable progress that can be made and that we can then fine tune with the whole board and just approve. So I would just throw that out there. Who feels like this is something they'd be really interested in being part of this year?
I'd be interested.
Okay, good. Talia?
I would be interested as well.
All right, Brock. I really like the idea of having some new board members. I think that brings some fresh perspective to that whole strategic planning lens. It'd be nice. Andrea has been great on that as well. And so I don't know, I don't want to tell you, but if you'd be willing to stay on as well to kind of provide that continuity of where we've been in the past and then bring those new board members in, would you be willing to do that, Andrea?
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine. I'd love to.
Okay, perfect. So it'll be, we'll vote here in a second, but it should be Talia, Brock, and Andrea on that committee. Any other comments or questions about that? Or any other discussion needed? All right, then, if I could have a motion to approve those board members to the committee.
I motion to approve those board members to the committee. I second.
Thank you. We'll vote by roll. I'm Josh. I vote aye. Andrea,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Dory,
Aye.
Brock,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
and Talia.
Aye.
All right. Well, thank you all for being willing to serve on that committee. I look forward to seeing what you guys hash out and what you develop as far as long-term planning goes. Denise will probably reach out, right? Denise, you're going to continue to lead that up, maybe you and Dr. Saunders.
Yes, we will. We'll reach out to you and we'll schedule our first meeting.
Excellent. Okay, the next item is a review, discussion, and approval of a lease extension for the Antelope Valley Resource Center property. So I don't know, Denise, would you like to explain or present on this?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. So we are still, we're negotiating still. So we needed to get an extension for the lease to, give us more time. So we're thinking 60 days. We're hoping it's before that, but 60 days to give us plenty of time. And property owner has agreed to that. So Craig actually drafted up this addendum for me, and I just put in the date and the term, which will be 60 days will be the term. So it'll go through November 11th. Any questions?
I had a question, Denise.
Yes.
Now, we're planning to have like a something before this, correct? Like the lease will be worked out before the end of the 60 days,
Yes.
correct? Okay, I'm just double checking.
Yes.
Okay,
That's our goal.
got you.
If there's no more questions, I would ask the board would approve the amendment to the lease.
And we'll be coming back to discuss this further in closed session as well today. So this is like Denise said, it's a temporary thing just to give us a little bit more time for the process to unfold. So could I please? Yeah, I'm sorry, Andrea, go ahead.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I motion to approve. I'm sorry, Josh.
Perfect. Nope. Thank you. Could I please have a second?
I second.
Thank you. I'm Josh. I vote aye. Andrea,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Dory,
Aye.
Brock,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Talia.
Aye.
Okay, we're very good. That extension is approved. The next item is going to be review, discussion, and approval of ASB plan fundraisers for the 3 resource centers. It looks like Truth, are you presenting here?
All right, sorry. Yes, but I have, I see the resource center supervisors here as well as the regional directors. So what it is Ed Code allows the student bodies to raise funds for different activities. And basically what we are bringing to the board tonight are different activities that each different resource center wants to undertake. And so Ed Code requires that the board approves those activities before they even start on some of them or all of them. So what we are recommending tonight to the board is that the board approves the different fundraising activities for the different sites. So if there are any questions or any clarifications that the board might have. So they have different dates when they are hoping to have those events, but it's possible that, hey, depending on some extenuating factors, they might change the dates, but the idea is to have the board approve those particular events. And I see Mark, I see Carrie, I don't see Julia, but Tricia is here. So if you guys want to chime in on any of the activities or anything, please feel free. That way the board can have a clear picture of what we're presenting.
I would like to get some clarification. Um, so I saw that the AV Resource Center and I'm seeing the Santa Clarita Resource Center, but I didn't see, is this right here Redlands then? What we're looking at?
Yes, that one is the
Correct.
Redlands one.
Okay, okay, thank you. I just want to make sure they all have,
We don't have
something.
any like specific dates on any of the calendars. So the students, we have a new leader that has come in for this year. And so she's just working with the students in terms of like the ideas. And so they didn't have any dates set in stone on for any of these. So
okay.
I have a quick question. So this is just kind of a blanket request, kind of the entire basket of what would be possible. They may or may not go for all of these fundraisers, correct?
Correct. But the idea is for them to have those, I think they sat down, they came together, and then they basically say these are the events that we want to have throughout the year. But it's possible that during the course of the year, they might decide, okay, maybe let's not do this event this year. And that's why some of them don't have specific dates, but the idea is this is what they want to do.
Kim, could you scroll down again, please? I like the early dismissal fundraiser on the 11th of April.
The Santa Clarita calendar actually like includes kind of all of our events. So it does include just some things to note as well. All of our spirit weeks and the planned dates for the actual fundraisers.
How could the board members be involved in these?
There are a lot of these events that, you know, board members would absolutely be welcome to. Anything that involves, you know, families, or, you know, some of them are kind of more throughout a week, and you're welcome to show up in your pajamas if you want to on pajama week as well. But of course, board members would be welcome to any of those events as well. So our movie nights are always really fun.
All right. Anybody have any other questions or concerns? If not, could I please have a motion to approve?
I motion to approve.
A second.
All right. I'm Josh. I vote aye. Andrea,
Aye.
Erica,
Aye.
Dory,
Aye.
Brock,
Aye.
Sarah,
Aye.
Talia.
Aye.
Thank you. Those fundraisers are approved for the 3 resource centers. Okay, our last item for discussion and action is going to be the review, discussion, approval of the unaudited actuals for the 21-22 school year for both Gorman Learning Center and Gorman Learning Center San Bernardino, Santa Clarita. Truth, go ahead.
Thank you. So the unaudited actual report is one of the 3 financial statements that the school has to report on and send to the state and authorizing districts. So this report basically presents information so that the district, the county office of education, and the state can review the school's fiscal viability. And so when we transact throughout the year, we have to close our books. And so in doing that, we have to use the template that is called the alternative form or the unaudited actuals, which is what you're going to see here. And so what we basically do is we put together all the numbers based on the activities that have been happening throughout the year. And as we close our books, we come to the board and report to the board and say, okay, these are the numbers as we end, or as we ended the year 21-22. So these numbers that you are going to be seeing now are called unaudited actuals, basically meaning that they haven't been audited. So that's the first step of basically validating our numbers. So it starts off with unaudited actuals, and then the auditors come around November, and then they audit these numbers that we are saying or are claiming that we ended the year with. And then from there, if there are any adjustments that they want to propose or any reclassifications of our numbers that they want to propose, then they'll propose that. And then from there, it becomes audited financial statements. So what you are seeing is basically raw data, as it were. But then this raw data is going to be audited. And then also with me and from the fiscal department, you will notice there is Claudia Lopez on the screen. She's our account manager too. So we work together in putting all these numbers and alongside with also our consultants so that we can bring to the board more accurate numbers. So having said that, the memo that you see basically has our beginning fund balance, which should tie to last year's or the previous year's audit report. And then everything that all the activities will happen, and then we'll have a new ending fund balance. So scroll down, and then I will explain some of the different areas for the board. Keep going. Okay, right there. So like I say, this is the template that we are required to use to report all our numbers. And so what we are saying to the board and our stakeholders is that as we end at the year, fiscal year 21-22, our estimated revenues basically were from LCFF, 10,555,236. I don't know, Kim, if you are able to put your cursor over the, yeah, that number right there. And then for federal revenues, which is kind of like number 2, we are saying we ended the year with 958,447. And then for other state revenue, this is combining unrestricted and restricted. We are saying we ended the year with 1,662,397. And then all other local revenues was $17,754.69 for a total revenue of $13,193,834.69, which is broken into unrestricted and restricted. And our unrestricted is the 10 million to the left, 10,810,729. And then the restricted is the 2,383,105. So those were the revenues that basically we are saying we received in the fiscal year 21-22. And then you go down to the expenditures. The next segment or the next section is basically the expenditures. And for our expenditures, we spend our money in different areas like certificated salaries, people support, administrators, and those are the expenses that you see broken down into the different categories, as well as non-certificated salaries. They are also broken down into different object codes. So when we say object codes are basically the numbers that explain what kind of classification that expense falls under. So keep going down. So stop there. And then for our object codes, usually the 3000s have to do with benefits. And so we're saying for the benefits, we close the year at $2,038,333.16. Again, that total, the number that I'm giving you is the one in the teal color to the right, but it's broken down into unrestricted and restricted. And then from there, you have the books and supplies, which is number 4, and then services and other operating expenses, number 5, with all the different categories or object codes. And then keep going down, which gives us a total of $14,069,332.67, broken down into unrestricted and restricted. And then scroll down. Right, and then so if we take, and then if we go to where it says F fund balance, there you go. Yeah, right there. Now you're okay, right there, Kim. Right, where it says fund balance net position, F, right? So as of July 1, where it says as of July 1, object code 9791. So that's the number that needs to tie to the audit report, right? Before we do anything, we have to put our audit report, our number from our audit report, and then any adjustments that were done, then that now gives us our new adjusted beginning balance. And then based on the activities that happen throughout the year, right, our ending fund balance then becomes $8,895,615 for number 2. And then scroll down, actually go up opposite direction. There's something I wanted to highlight. Oh, right there. So, so based on the revenues that came in and the expenses that came in, we spent more than what we received. And mainly because of also special education that encroaches into our general fund. And also because really we did not meet our projection, our enrollment projection as we had planned at the beginning of the year. And then go down. Right. Okay, and then go down to the liabilities. Okay, those are the liabilities. Okay, so our ending fund balance at year end for 21-22 for this particular school, GLC, is $8,895,615.02. So that's, these numbers here are they haven't been audited. This is us basically saying, based on our numbers that we pull from the system, this is where we ended the year. But then the auditors will come in, will audit our numbers and verify whether our numbers are correct or not, and then make any adjustments. And then the auditors will come and present the financial statements to the board either December or January. So that's GLC for now. I don't know whether maybe we should entertain any questions, or do you want me, Mr. President, to go on to the next one and then thereafter answer any questions that the board might have?
Why don't we pause there and just see what the board might have regarding GLC?
I have just a general question here, Truth. How are your for how are the enrollment projections, how are they derived? How does leadership or how does fiscal come up with projected enrollment numbers for the school year?
Oh, okay. So the way the way we do it is historical data, right? So the first thing is our starting point is usually our audit report, because our audit report are audited numbers. And then we look at maybe the last 3 years or 4 years or 5 years, right? And then from there, we then take into account the climate within the education environment. What is happening, right? Is there, are there houses maybe around our areas that are being built that most probably eventually we might end up seeing more students coming to our school? Is there a school or charter school that has closed down in the area? And then also, we want to look at the siblings, like in terms of, okay, the different grade levels, how has the intake been for the different grade levels? And then I know the RDs are also here. I don't know, Jenna is not here, but Jenna also provides us with data, right, that we use. And then from there, we then see, okay, based on previous years and also what's happening, should we project higher or should we project lower? And then we talk about it in the administrative team, including our RDs. And then that's when we say, okay, this will be a more comfortable number to use for our projection. I don't know if that answers your question, Mr. Brock.
Sure, that's a good general answer. I was just looking at the numbers that Denise was presenting in her report. And just by my quick calculations and looking at her chart is showing SBSC projected enrollment of 1,400 and GLC projected at 1,200, so 2,600 for both schools combined. And I'm showing that current enrollment as of today, I believe, we're down about 151. And even if we calculate a very conservative number, 10,000 per student, that's $1.5 million for the whole year that we would be deficient just for this fiscal year 22-23. Now, I know the numbers keep going up, but if 150 is an average of say a 3-month time period, let's say that we were down 200 last month, 150 this month, 100 next month, we're growing, we're getting closer to those numbers, but we're still going to be running a deficit this year. And I know that I'm not pointing out anything new to you. I'm sure you're looking at those numbers too, but is there any, I don't quite know what my question is here, other than the numbers do look concerning as far as what was projected and what we actually have right now.
So if I may, Mr. President, can I respond?
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you. So what it is a good point that you're raising, Brock, but what happens is that's why we have what's called the first interim and the second interim and the adopted budget. So what happens is right now we projected 1,200 and 1,400. Our first interim is due November, by December 15, and it covers the period of July 1 through October 31st. So we'll be meeting again to review these numbers. And at that point, if we see that there's no movement upward, we will have to adjust our budget, right, with the enrollment downwards. So we are consistently, that's why I always say to them, the first interim is the first revision, and then the second interim is the second revision. So we look very closely at those numbers, and we will be adjusting accordingly at first interim.
Okay, thank you. To be continued.
I had a question.
Mhm.
You talked about the SPED program and how large it was and how it was maybe deficit. Is that what you were saying? I'm sorry, I couldn't quite. If you could go back to that and explain it to me really quick.
Yes, so what it is with the special program, and it's kind of like a normal, right? Because of the activities and the services we have to provide for the special education program, they are, for the most part, special education program will encroach into our general fund. And so encroaching into our general fund, basically, it basically means that they do not have enough money to basically service their students. But then our general fund has to top up and help them, because that's a mandated program that we have to, a service that we have to give to our students.
So the general fund, is that, I don't know how that works. Are we pulling resources from another resource center, or are we just pulling out of like a large pool?
So we're basically pulling from, Dennis, you wanted to say something? I saw you had unmuted.
Oh, I was just gonna chime in. You're probably gonna already say this, but so the special ed program gets their own special ed funding, a specific funding just for special ed based on the number of students that we have. The funding is never enough to service all that our kids need. And so, and it's the same at any school. So then that's why they call it that encroaching. So meaning they don't give you enough funding to meet all the needs for the students. So you have to take it from the general fund, which is just the
common port. So the
Yeah.
general fund is the common port
the
where
common,
you can
yeah.
use. Yeah, I'm trying to put it in its simplest form, but it's called the general fund, but it's basically the common port where, okay, you're allowed to use that money, but there are certain monies that are basically restricted to certain programs.
Okay,
Well,
so we're
maybe
not pulling
maybe-
away from other programs, and I wanted to understand. So thank you so much.
No worries.
So again, the fund balance net position, letter K there, Truth, that is our net funds or funding that we have available to use at the beginning of the school year, so almost $9 million. That represents almost $1 million less than what we had at the beginning of the 21-22 school year, correct?
Correct.
So now we're running another deficit because we're not reaching our projections. And yeah, this is cause for concern. You know, I believe in deficit spending when it adds value to the school, but I'm sure that you and leadership are very concerned about this too. And I'm sure that there are steps being taken to see our numbers increase or see the budget being balanced in some way.
Absolutely. Like Dr. Gary mentioned that they're looking at different options of also increasing our enrollment. And I think he also touched on marketing. Yes, it is a concern, and it's something that we are constantly talking about, even in our leadership team, you know, just to make sure, okay, what can be done. And like I mentioned to you, that come first interim, we will adjust, because the idea is, even when we do the budget for next year, we do not want to bring a budget to the board that has a deficit. So it is a concern, and it is something that we are taking into account and addressing.
All right, thank you.
Truth, it might be helpful in the future if you bring the approved or even the second interim budget, so we have a comparison of kind of how we made those adjustments through the year to what the year ended up. Because when I just see the fiscal impact being a decrease, so I don't know if we planned for that or we didn't, because it's not in relation to the budget, as far as I'm understanding. Maybe I've missed something, but I'd like to be able to see that for both schools to then know kind of what the aggregate difference is between what we had planned and adjusted for through the year and then what we ended up with. And I could do that work. I could go back through and I think, find those budgets, but I think it'd be helpful for all the board members, because to Brock's point, it's not that we're opposed to the deficit spending, but I think we need to see that there's a reason for it. There's a plan to stop doing it at some point. Clearly, if we have a number of years more that we could do that, and then we wouldn't be financially solvent, or we hit that point where we don't have the reserves that we were required to have or need to have. So yeah, we need to address it. So yeah, I think we'll come back and of course address this at first interim. Is that October, the first interim, or is that November?
I'll most probably bring it to the board December.
For December,
But
okay.
yeah, but it covers the period of July 1 through October 31st. But it's supposed to be submitted to the state by December 15.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have anything on GLC here? If not, it sounds like Truth, you're welcome to move on to SBSC, please.
Thank you. Go ahead, Kim. Yeah. Right there. So same thing. This is also the same report that has to be presented to our County Office of Education and eventually the state and our authorizers. So let's just go straight to the meat. Go to the numbers. Right. So again, with this is now GLC SBSC, we have the different categories for the revenues. And so what we are reporting is that our revenues at year end of 21-22 fiscal year were $15,144,888.76, broken down into unrestricted and restricted. And then go ahead, let's go down to the expenses. Yeah, and then the expenses, same thing. They are broken down into the different categories based on the classifications. And so our expenses for GLC SBSC total were, go down, Kim, were 15,260,000, is it 84 or 64? Let me make it bigger. Oh yeah, $15,284,826.25, also broken down into unrestricted and restricted. So basically, with this one, we spent more than we received by $139,937.49. And so again, our beginning balance always ties to the previous year's beginning balance per audit report. And then any adjustments that might have been made or restatements are included there. And then our new adjusted beginning balance, which if you take into account the different activities, then gives us our new ending fund balance as of June 30th, 21-22. And in this case, it's the highlighted dollar amount, the 3 million that you're seeing for 21-22 for GLC SBSC. And then the next segment downwards is that dollar amount, the 3 million, broken down into the different categories like net investments in capital assets and the unrestricted net position. If you scroll down. All right, and then it brings us down to our 3 million, but it's a total of breaking it down into the different categories, like what we have in restricted, what we have in capital or investments, net investments. And then if you add those numbers, they bring us to our 3 million. So again, these are numbers that haven't been audited yet, but this is based on the activities that we've had throughout the year as a school. This is what we are saying our year ended like.
Forgive my ignorance, but the monies in county treasury, that would be in letter G, number one, cash. It's over $2 million. Do we ever receive any type of interest off of that?
We letter G, one H, which one is that one? Can you scroll up? Let's see. No, oh, scroll
Yeah,
down.
Those are cash assets there.
Yeah, right there, right there. Now, we don't have any monies in county treasurer, unless these are monies that basically are sent. These are monies that are sent to us, right? So once we're told this is how much we'll be receiving, they usually send it to us. So in reality, I think that 9110 should be 9120. 91 no in bank favor. Sorry, let me just make this bigger. Yeah, it should be 9120. So cash in county treasurer is the money that maybe the county owes us, that is supposed to be giving to us. But the county is good at, as soon as the money passes through to them, it's given to us. We are not like school districts where their money is kept at the county treasurer. Our money is not kept at the county treasurer. Our money is kept in our bank account.
Okay, and I see number two there, investments, and maybe there's a question for Craig. Craig, is it possible for a charter school of our kind, a nonprofit, to have cash investments somewhere?
The simple answer is yes, as long as it is conservative and a well thought out plan that's presented to the board and approved by the board.
Seems like it's something we might want to consider.
If you saw my portfolio right now, you wouldn't want me to have anything to do with directing where that gets invested. So right now, I don't know.
And I appreciate Craig's response, because you don't want to lose money, right? And you always want to take the very conservative approach. And that's why in most cases, educational institutions will use the county treasurer, because it's more like secure or protected, per se.
You know, if we could find something conservative and safe, you know, I mean, it's always a good thought to have your money work for yourself, work for you. So
We could build a zoo.
Not how
That is-
Disneyland started.
There you go.
I assume, Brock, you're thinking something like it's like equities or something, right? Or treasuries or something.
yeah, treasuries or bonds, something secure,
Mhm.
and yet
Maybe ideal.
semi-liquid. I mean,
Mhm.
I'm sure we could look into that and maybe come up with a percentage of the funds that we feel that we could do without for a period of 1 to 2 years.
Is real estate not an investment for a school like this? Is that not?
That's a great question. I would think so. Craig?
So real estate is an investment, but it's not necessarily how a charter school would look at it, because we are not in the business of buying and selling real estate as an investment. It would be more of a long-term plan based upon ownership towards the purposes and goals, kind of that whole strategic planning that we talked at the very beginning of the meeting about. If strategic planning said real estate is a good place to put our money to use, then that would make sense. But again, that would be board and administration planning.
And then also, maybe Brock, to kind of like shed some light. We do have different types of accounts for the school. And we have an account for market securities, which is basically an investment account. And that account basically has money that we never touch, right? The only time we kind of touched it is when there was like COVID and that whole thing of the state cutting our money because of enrollment and P2. But we do have accounts, and I do meet with our bankers time and again to give us different options of where we can put our money so that it can yield a little interest. And actually, at one point, our monies were put in this account that was, I've forgotten the word, but I think it was like a sweep account or swipe account, something like that, Claudia, if you recall. So what they do is every night, if you look at our bank statements, the money is taken out and then it's invested in different places. And then the following day, it's put back. So that was happening when we had a big chunk of money in the account. But we do have a market securities account, which is predominantly an investment account with our bank.
So if we do have an account with them, are we earning some type of interest on that account?
Yeah, but it's not anything to write home about. But I'm not opposed to what you suggested. It's something that we can actually explore, like different investment avenues that we can try.
It's worth a discussion.
Yeah, we'll try to put something together off air, offline to get that started, and then if it goes any further, obviously move that back to the board. Okay, beyond that, were there any other questions for Truth on SBSC? Off the top of your head, Truth, do you know what the projection here for SBSC, or what the difference is between the second interim and the unaudited actual is for SBSC?
The projections, I think, Claudette, can you just check the enrollment projections? You mean from the second interim to year end?
Yeah. What our ending fund balance was projected to be at second interim?
Can you open the if you can easily access the server? I think it's in the server, like the fund balance. I can.
Yes, let me look into that.
Mm-hmm.
I do have one other question if there's time.
Go ahead.
I'm just curious about the discrepancy in the numbers. Okay, so going back to Denise's original presentation, we're budgeted SBSC for 1,400, GLC for 1,200, meaning there's more income based on student numbers from SBSC, right? And yet if we look at our ending balance from the end of the 21-22 school year, we have less than half as much, really just a little bit more than a third in the SBSC account as what we have in the GLC account. So historically, can you explain that, Truth, as far as why we have an ending balance that's quite a bit more in the GLC account than in the SBSD?
Yes, the simple answer is SBSC is relatively a new school, right? And GLC has been in existence for a long time. If you recall, in 1819, we established SBSC, right? And so there are certain monies that SBSC was not getting, but GLC was getting because of its longevity and its existence. And also you come to the employees. If I kind of go into a little detail, you look at the employees at SBSC and at GLC, and also the pay structure and all that. That also contributes in terms of how much, and also what kind of expenses, right, at SBSC compared to GLC. That also contributes to the low fund balance. But if SBSC had been in existence for as long as GLC, the fund balance also will be as high or close to that. But just remember, it's relatively a new school, less than 3 years or so.
Makes sense. Thank you.
I think it's always important to remember that we are just one organization, though. At the end of the day, we're one district, each school. So where the balances are at for each one, it's really the overall picture that matters. We need to track both schools for accountability and keep them separate from a tracking standpoint, but we are really looking at the overall picture. Does it look like we'd be able to find that information somewhat readily?
I'm trying to pull it. Let me see. I might have this is for which school you want to SBSC?
I'd be if we could readily look at both, I'd be curious. I'm not sure for anybody else if that's relevant to them.
I would be very interested in seeing that myself.
Okay, I think I might have SBSC here. Okay, is it possible for me to share my screen, Kim? Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's small. That's okay though.
So this is a second interim.
The tab's gonna be to the right, tabs, Truth.
What's that?
It's gonna be towards the right tab, towards the bottom of the page. You'll see second interim.
The tabs?
Yeah, right now you're looking at the approve the approve button. Yeah. Go to the left tabs.
So,
I mean to the right. Go to the right. Yeah, there you go. Go to the little arrow on the left corner, the green arrow on the left corner.
The left, this one?
There you go. Yeah. And then go to second interim.
So this is the second interim here.
Okay, so yeah, it looks like then yours, I'm seeing 147,992 as the decrease projected here.
Correct.
At second interim. So this was almost been spot on.
Right.
For SBSC. How about GLC? Can we get to that?
Okay, let me see if I can get that.
I have it open if you want me to share.
Okay, that'd be great. Yeah, go ahead. Make it bigger. Okay, is it possible to make it a little bigger? All right, and then scroll down to the fund balance all the way down. Yeah, there you go, right there. Y 111. So that's the number. That's the number, Josh. At second interim.
The fund balance, increase. Okay, so we projected at second interim around a $48,000 from reading that, $48,000 surplus. And the actual came to about an $800,000 deficit. When second interim, is it March or April?
It's March.
March.
Yeah. And that report covers from July 1 through January 31st, but we bring it to the board, either February board meeting or March board meeting, because it's due to the authorizers by the 15th.
Do you see any factors that would have caused from the time we kind of updated this in March that would have caused there to be such a big difference between projection and actual? Did we miss something in March?
No, I think mainly the spending. Like I could try and go more into detail and run some reports, right? But I think mainly things like special ed, contracted services might have contributed into that, and also not even because the second interim was based on hitting our projection, which we did not meet.
Projection for enrollment?
Yes, projection for enrollment.
I think I think there might be some further conversation we could have on this. Maybe just to hone in our practice a little bit so that we're not, I feel a little bit blindsided by the difference. I'm not sure how anybody else sees it, but I don't know. I think I would have hoped we would have had enough information to have been a little closer. I know right now things are pretty dynamic and sometimes it's like throwing darts blindfolded, but I'd have hoped we could have been a little closer at second interim versus kind of thinking and seeing it looks like things are going to come out pretty even, and then to be that far off at actual. So I think maybe our process could use a little bit of work on that at first interim and second interim. So that's kind of my only comment at this point. Not sure if anybody else has anything to add or say.
No, I'd just like to spend more time kind of drilling down on this, and maybe I can get together with you, Truth, sometime and you can show me the details.
Yeah, I'd be happy to be part of that as well. Okay, for now, anything that anybody has, any other comments or questions before we approve these? These are the numbers as they are. It's not as if we're saying we like them or we don't. This is just accepting that these are the actual numbers. The board's seen them and approved them. So just kind of to clarify. If no questions, then I would ask for a motion to approve the unaudited actuals for both Gorman Learning Center and Gorman Learning Center San Bernardino, Santa Clarita.
I move to approve the unaudited actuals for SBSC and GLC.
I second.
Thank you both. I'm Josh. I vote aye. Andrea?
Aye.
And I think Erica is gone. I think Dory is also gone. Brock?
Aye.
Sarah?
Aye.
Talia?
Aye.
All right, those unaudited actuals are approved. Then we're going to go ahead and adjourn to closed session. I've got 5:27. If we could, you'll get an invitation. We'll go into closed session. Accept that invitation, please. It looks like everybody made it back except for Talia. Hopefully she didn't hit the button for leave meeting. Oh, there we go. All right. Andrea, you with us? It looks like, are you still logging in? Logging back in? You there? Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and reconvene to open session. I have 6:48 p.m. No action was taken to report out from closed session. So we have, let's start talking about any items that we know about for the next meeting.
The next meeting, Josh, is October 13th. And we will have a presentation by the SPED department. And that's all I have that so far.
Okay. I'm sure more will come up. I have this desire to move us back to meeting in person for that 13th meeting and going forward, depending on whether or not the situation changes, anything changes with COVID. We'll set up, if we can do that, which is what I'd like to do, probably here at the AV Resource Center, and then set up Santa Clarita and Redlands as remote locations as well for those board members who are closer to those to go to. I'm
I'll be
not
on the
even
East Coast at
sure.
that time, Josh.
What was that, Brock?
I'll be on the East Coast at that time.
Okay.
And Josh, I don't know if you remember, but I'm not going to be able to attend the next one, but I'm going to have Gary
right.
attend.
Okay, so maybe we won't do it this next meeting. Let me look at that maybe then for the November meeting, because there are a couple of logistic issues for that, but that is, I think, an important step we need to move towards. So yeah, for now, we won't commit to being in person at that one. We'll just, I tentatively being again virtual, but I do need to make sure we're still good or we're ready to set up those remote locations as well before we do that. As I need to think about that, but we'll make sure of that, and then maybe we can do that for the November meeting. So tentatively, we're looking at October 13th, 4 p.m. on Zoom. Any other questions about that or comments? Okay. Thanks, everyone. I appreciate you. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to adjournment. Have a good night.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone. Good night.
Have a wonderful evening.